Rocky was placed into Marshall's EMT care for his wounds. There were no severe injuries, but he was riddled with bruises and minor cuts that stung like as salt water on a paper cut. Medically, he was fine, but the scars that would haunt him forever. Ryder decided on the spot that Rocky should maybe sit out for a few missions, or maybe even take a vacation for a month or two. Skye had given the best report she possibly could, and soon retired to her kennel. As night fell, the rest of the pups made their way to their home havens, wanting to rid of that frightful day. Now it was about 2 a.m, and the cool night had blanketed Adventure Bay. There was one dog, however, who couldn't sleep, and laid awake with questions and confusion. Chase repeatedly paced around his room, head low to the ground as he struggled to make sense of the recent events. He felt responsible for Rocky's trauma, and as leader of the team he should have had some sort of say in the ACG's actions. But none of those tactical dogs even took him seriously, let alone Rocky. Who were they? How long would they be here? Chase stopped walking and picking up his head, staring ahead at his wall. Captain Cyrus had mentioned that they were not from Adventure Bay, but foragers from somewhere else were coming in. At the moment he had an idea. He turned around and went to one of his storage compartments, pushing aside of pup treat wrappers and an empty bowl. He opened the compartment up to reveal piles of old tech. Most consists of dusty wires and outdated electrical equipment that didn't do the job anymore. But there was something underneath it all that may have just seen one more purpose. After gripping the forgotten wires in his teeth and tossing them out, an old pup pad was finally revealed. The pup pad had recently held by Ryder by many before. As technology advanced, the handwell would receive updates, or a whole new model itself would be mailed in. Regardless, each replaced pup pad was tossed away in the garbage, although this one particular one Chase preferred to keep it away in storage. He flickered on the switch, and the screen flickered to life, bathing Chase in his kennel in soft light. Many of the apps on the pup pad were gone and lost after the system transfer, but there was one thing that always remained intact: calling. All the contacts were wiped, but you could still contact other locations across the land by entering the exact code, usually a 12-digit number. Chase took a deep breath and selected the feature, and was met with a blank white screen where many contacts would usually list off. Ignoring the vast emptiness of this connected pup pad, Chase moved his paw and selected LNIE, call. The abbreviation for Lynn stood for Lookout Identification Number. The puppy took his time in putting each number, and using it as a touchscreen with his paws rather difficult. Every now and then crickets would sound in the night, making his ears flicked up. But when the full ID was typed, Chase activated the call. The pup pad instantly began buzzing away, reawakening its old workings to carry out its new command. His heart began to dip slightly as Chase took another quick peek out of his kennel. As usual, all the other pups were sound asleep. Suddenly a green light flickered on the pup pad, and the screen had buzzed to life, with a confused husky staring through it. "Who is this?" the dog spoke. "Your number is decommissioned. Why are you calling me?" "Everest, it's me," Chase reassured, then waved his paw in front of the screen. "Chase? I can't see you." Everest tilted her head. "Your screen is just black." The shepherd raised an eyebrow in confusion, then realized the pad screen was probably in severe disrepair. "I think my camera's broken." "Why are you calling me on a discontinued pup pad?" "Because I need your help," Chase explained. "I need information, and I don't need anyone tracing this call." "Why would anyone trace their call?" Everett's ears went back. "Have you heard of the ACG?" Chase asked, dodging the question. "The who?" "The Assault and..." Chase struggled to recall the full name. "Control something, I don't remember. But these military dogs are showing up on all over Adventure Bay, and we don't know why. They hurt Rocky and shut down one of our missions." "What?" The husky went wide-eyed. "Is he okay?" "He's fine," Chase waved off. "But I do know these communication sites for rent on the mountain of Outpost. I know that tons of team pass through your mountain to set up their radio towers." Everest blinked. "How could you possibly know about that? That's classified information." The shepherd looked to see the side in response. "I may have bypassed a few of Ryder's locked files." "What?" The husky jolted in alarm. Chase, you went behind his back? Hey, I'm the leader of this team, he retaliated. It's my job to be in the know. You should have not done that, Everest worried. If Ryder finds out, he won't. Now are you going to help me or not? Everest flattened her ears for a moment, then sighed. Fine. What do you want? Surely the ACG secured a tower up there, Chase pressed. If they're not from the city, they must have come from a long distance. A comm site, a radio tower, satellite must be anything passed through there belonging to them. Chase, I just can't dip my paw into classified files, she encountered. Unlike you, I keep in line. Damn it, Everest! Chase snapped. Those dogs hurt Rocky. He's probably traumatized. As law enforcement, I need to know what I can do to stop more pups from getting hurt. Ah, fine, Everest barked at the screen. Just calm down. Zeesh. Chase watched Everest suddenly walk off camera, and by tapping on the keys and the buttons that could be heard, the shepherd tapped his paw impatiently, counting the seconds being wasted. Why was she being so difficult? As law enforcement, he really felt entirely responsible for the well-being of not just his own team, but entirely of Adventure Bay. Okay, here. Everest hopped back on the front of the camera, holding a printed piece of paper in her mouth. What's that? Chase asked, eyeing the paper. It's an agreement of construction, she explained, dropping the sheet in front of her. Anyone who builds it on our site has to pay and sign one. Chase leaned back and narrowed his eyes, seeking more information. The Assault and Contaminated Guild, Everest read, as they passed through a few days ago and set up a radio tower and some communication lines, paid $200,000, and the agreement was signed by a dog named Bella. Bella? Chase repeated. Everest shrugs. I don't know if she was an officer, a supervisor, or a regular dog, but she left a contact number. What is it? Chase said as he leaned forward. Chase, I don't know. Everest, tell me, he growled. After a first short pause, the husky sighed. All right, get a pen and paper. I'll read it off. The sun was shining brightly as the moon was banished away to the other side of the planet to make its way for a lovely day. After Chase's intense conversation with Everest, he collected a contact number that would prove to be very useful. He didn't know if Everest was going to get in trouble or not for disclosing such information. But there were more important things in play right now. Chase was casually walking down the side of the walk of Adventure Bay, passing through town. Any dog loved with a good walk, and he always was happy for a good lap or two around the perimeter of the city. But today Chase had a mission, completely without a uniform. Donning his one and only collar and tag, he strolled his way to a pup cafe only a block away. Chase had taken the number and created a new contact on the pup pad, using the only contact number, no name, no photo. He sent a message to the number asking to meet up, and he made a hesitant introduce himself as the law enforcement command of Adventure Bay, and wrote that denying the meetup would have legal consequences. Trying to pull every card possible and land himself with a talk with his Bella, brimming with confidence, Chase rounded the corner to the cafe, now making his way towards the outside tables. He wasn't going directly into the building as he wanted to seem friendly yet stern and not wanted to scare whoever's coming his way. Chase climbed into the pup seat, sitting down as he looked at his table. His eyes briefly studied the napkin dispenser before quickly looking up and around. No one in sight. A gray pit bull with a bow tie pushed through the doggy door, walking over to Chase's table. Hi, Chase, he said warmly, with a notepad in his mouth. Can I start with you with a drink? No thanks, I'm waiting for my second. Chase gave his puppy a smile. All right, flag me down if you need anything. The dog then turned and left, leaving Chase alone yet again. Unease was rising in his stomach, a feeling he was unable to ward off. He didn't want his nervousness to show, as in his mind was a good police officer never breaks. Trying to slow his discomfort, he lowered his head and licked his paw to clean off any dirt. His heartbeat seemed to die down, although a deep voice told him that he was going too far. After a few minutes passed and Chase successfully cleaned his leg, he wondered if there was enough time to back off. A cream white paw suddenly placed on the table, catching Chase by surprise. Looking forward with sharpened ears, Chase saw before him a bright Labrador retriever with brown eyes, somewhat reminding him of Zuma. She instantly looked Chase up and down. She was no puppy by any means, and significantly larger in size. "Bella?" Chase asked. "Who's that?" The lab tilted her head. Chase shook his head. "I'm needing a person Bella here. Sorry." He waved off the dog with his paw, expecting her to leave. "You know it's dangerous to meet dogs you don't know," she said flatly. "I'm a police officer. I know what I'm doing." The lab leaned forward a little. "But do you really? Do you really know what you're doing?" He tilted his head. "Well, No, you don't," she pressed, coldness rising in her voice. "I could see that you really don't understand anything what's going on, and for your sake it should be kept that way." She leaned further over the table, staring down at Chase with a hardened gaze. For a second, the ACG isn't stupid, and we tend to get notified when a puppy sticks his nose where it doesn't belong. Chase suddenly felt a lot smaller than usual. "What?" "We have orders, puppy," she growled. "We have a routine, a protocol, for our presence is necessary here in Adventure Bay. We have the things we need to take care of here, and you'll find it's a lot healthier for you to stay out of our way." "But we're the Paw Patrol," he protested. "What are you doing in our job? Tell me, Chase, do you know what a biohazard is? What about terrorism, riot control, a strike team? Have you ever held a gun?" Chase felt himself unable to speak. "No, you don't," she finished. "Your job is solving petty conflicts from incompetent people who can't do things themselves. Our purpose here is much more complex and more professional and more adult, and you will stay out of our way, or we will come at you with a lot more than a stern conversation." The retriever gave Chase a warm smile and got up from the table. "And for the record, your little patrol is a joke." Chase watched her walk off as his ears flattened against his head. His tail had retreated underneath him, and in that moment, he wondered if Everest was okay. No doubt those dogs would go hunting for whoever leaked the number, and Chase felt immediate concern for the husky as he may have thrown under the bus. He quickly got up when his tag started ringing, and Marshall's voice came through. "Chase?" The Dalmatian spoke through, panic in his voice. "Are you there?" "What is it?" Chase asked, narrowing his eyes. "Come to the city park as fast as you can," Marshall cried. "Seriously, you need to hurry. It's those dogs again."